What this video is about is a refurbishment of a solid-state ignition, SSI. This ignition happens to be off of an Eska outboard motor, a single cylinder, 7.5 horsepower. And this is a 610-851. The ignition on the tractor engines, the HH100s and HH120s, are almost identical, but those ignitions have two triggers. This one only has one trigger here. The tractor ignitions have one trigger here and another trigger here. The primary difference is that the outboard motor that this is off of has a mechanical spark advance, where the Tecumseh tractor engine is a fixed spark advance above a threshold RPM. What we're going to do here is different than what we've done before. I've usually removed the epoxy using a torch, and in this particular case what we're going to do is make some cuts across the epoxy and then pop it off in little sections. This way we can avoid using a torch. The first thing we need to do that is to grind off the edges here and here and here. This will, when we grind off this edge, it'll basically disconnect the cover for the printed circuit board here from the sides, which is what is largely what holds it on. So in order to do that, I'm going to start out with a bench grinder, removing as much as I can, and then I'll finish up with a Dremel tool. Okay, you can see what I did is I took about a 45-degree angle off the sides, and you can see the white edge of the printed circuit board here. So we need to do this step first so that on the next step we can know where that printed circuit board is. You can see the white line here, the printed circuit board over on this side. So I pretty well have this epoxy area disconnected from the printed circuit board. I didn't mention earlier, but I made a little tick mark here about 1/4 of an inch from the trigger. I marked the trigger here, came over 1/4 of an inch because we need to stay away from the trigger. We don't want to go near that. But over on this side, there's a connection down in here where the trigger coil connects up to the SCR, and we need to get to that. So I came back 1/4 of an inch from this corner to here, and I made this line and I brought it there. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take a hacksaw and cut across this line here, and then when I'm finished with that, I'm going to cut across this line here. Don't need to go completely down to the printed circuit board. If I can begin to see some solder joints or something, I want to stop. But now that we cut this edge off, we can see where the printed circuit board lies. Now what we did is we have those two cuts. What I'm going to do, and I haven't done this before, so I hope it works, is I'm going to put a small screwdriver down in this cut here, and I'm going to pry this little piece off, prying against what's left here. So let's just put that in there like that a little bit and pry it, and bingo, off comes the little piece of epoxy. So we got strip 1 done, and now we can go to strip 2. Okay. There goes strip 2. Now you may be tempted to cut all of these at once, but if we do that, we may break it off where we're prying and not the piece that we want to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these one at a time until we get this down to the printed circuit board.